Hello beautiful people of the world, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shay and today I wanted to give you a bit of a story time. This video is going to be a little bit different. I'm trying something new with my editing, so let me know down in the comments below if you like it or if it's too distracting with the scenes. Keep on flipping with this. Just let me know in the comments below, because if it's too distracting I won't do it anymore, but I just want to change it up and do something more creative. Anywho, you'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. Today's story time is all about how my nose turned into Rudolph, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to show you right here what I'm talking about. You see what I mean? It's pretty bad. And notice how my nose is not actually, doesn't look like that. It's normally quite petite. But I did something, I didn't listen to my parents. This is the moral of the story. Listen to your parents, folks. I did something not too good. A little bit of backstory, I did get my nose pierced in 12th grade. I was not allowed to get my nose pierced. I went against my parents' wishes, got it pierced, came home, and my mentality was that, what are they gonna do, rip it out? And that is what my mom said she would do. She's like, I'm gonna rip that out of your nose. And I had an operation that was coming up, so I had to take it out of my nose and get it removed, because for the operation you weren't able to have jewelry on. So needless to say, then it closed up, and that first time was a gun. And my parents really didn't like it as well, so I left it like that for a little bit, and then I decided when I came home from Europe that I wanted to pierce my nose again. And this is where it all went downhill. My friend and I went to this night market, and I'll insert some photos throughout the clips here, and we decided we would go. So she convinced me at this booth to get my nose pierced. It was actually an ear piercing booth, but they had one of those guns for it, you know what I mean, like to pierce your ears. And we asked them if they would be willing to do nose piercing for it, and they were like, yeah, for sure, we'll just have to put an earring stud in, which I didn't see the problem with at the beginning, but oh boy was it a big problem. So one of the things that they kind of said, but I didn't really quite understand or think about at the time, is they said with the gun it will not be sterile because they cannot clean the gun properly. Also, again, this was at a night market, really dirty, kind of a sketchy random tent that was doing it, and clearly they just wanted money because they charged me like $10 to do it, when normally the first time I got it done it was $80, and that wasn't even at a tattoo parlor. So $10 for it was a great deal for me, but what I got out of it was horrible. My friend convinced me to go first. So she said she would do hers right after mine, yada yada yada. I sat down in the chair, they pierced my nose. Afterwards, my friend chickened out and said she was too scared to do it at a night market. Smart girl, I'm the dumb one. And you know, I was pretty annoyed at her, and we just spent the rest of the night doing like henna and all these cool things and didn't think anything of it. The first time I got my nose pierced, you have to keep the piercing in for a couple days until you can change it, just so that it can properly heal and not get infected. So a couple days went past, and when I went to take out the piercing, I couldn't take it out because they had put the earring butterfly backing in my ear, so I couldn't get a hold of it enough to pull it out. Now you see where the issue arises. I couldn't take it out to change it, but because I was fiddling with it so much trying to take it out, my nose actually got infected and it started swelling up. So the earring was getting pulled inside my nose and the skin started growing over top of my piercing. It was disgusting. I remember it was a huge hole in my nose and I was taking tweezers to try to pull it out. I spent days crying about it, trying to pull it out. It was getting really scary and super painful, and my nose was swelling up so much. Eventually I went to tattoo parlor with my friend, and they pretty much said, what did you do to yourself? Why did you let this random sketchy person do this to your face? And they said how serious it actually could have been. At the time I didn't think too much of it. I paid a little bit of money and they took it out of my nose for me, and I was free, or so I thought. Some time passed by and I didn't think too much of it. I had a big hole in my nose, but it was less painful than having the huge thing in, and I wasn't too scared and it wasn't infected, so the infection went down. As time went on, I noticed that I was having a really red nose, and by red I mean it was puffy, it was cracking all on the outside and the inside. My skin was literally cracking and coming off like on the inside, and not just like little flakes, like chunks of skin. And it was really painful to the touch. Eventually it started spreading to the rest of my face here, and I went to Europe. This was when I was pregnant with Addison, and my aunt kind of mentioned something about it and like how that's not quite normal. I told her I actually had it for over a year and have just been dealing with it, and she recommended to put pseudo-creme on it, which is like a diaper cream, which we actually used for Addison when she was a baby. So I was putting it on and I noticed a little bit of a difference on it, but she kept thinking like I wasn't putting it on. She kept saying like, oh, did you forget to put your cream on? And I was saying like, no, I've been putting it on, but it just like wasn't quite doing the job anymore. So I just kept on dealing with it, and at that point it was more of a cosmetic thing. I knew it looked a little bit ridiculous, but I didn't really know what it was, and I just thought it was, you know, like acne or something going on. We thought it was Rudolph syndrome, which we looked up. After a while I ended up going to the doctor because it got really painful and it was spreading around my whole entire face. My eyes started hurting underneath and I knew it wasn't good at that point. The doctor prescribed me some cream to just put on the outside of my nose every day in the evening, and I did that for a couple weeks. After continuing to put this in my nose a couple of weeks, I noticed it was just pretty much coming back, and after a few months I decided to go back to the doctor. At that point they prescribed me something more intense because it wasn't working with just the cream. They gave me a steroid antibiotic that I had to take for 10 days multiple times a day, and they gave me the cream but told me to put it all the way up my nose with a Q-tip and do it multiple times daily. The steroid antibiotic made it go away, and they wanted me to continue doing the cream for 3 months every single day, multiple times a day, to make sure it would go away. So I continued this. As soon as I stopped the antibiotics is when it started to come back after a couple weeks. So I realized the pattern of what was happening. It wasn't as bad because I was still using the cream, but it was coming back. And after the 3-month period, I had about a month of free no nose thing going on, kind of like I have right now, but it came back very quickly. So I went back and I got prescribed more of the steroids and more cream. They just kept giving me the exact same steroid and the exact same cream. And I told them the thing that's making it go away is the steroid. When she looked inside my nose, she actually said she has seen this in the past one time, and it was actually someone that had an addiction to snorting drugs. And because of the mixture of the two, it actually ate away at the inside of their nose. So pretty much what I have, she said, is some type of bacteria or infection that's literally eating away at the inside of my face. The sad part is there's nothing they can really do about it to stop it. So they're not for sure what actually happened or how I particularly got it, but they are very, very sure that it was because of me piercing my nose at that dirty night market with the dirty gun and it being infected and swollen and all of that mixture. So a couple weeks ago it got really bad and painful, and I waited as long as I could and I started taking the antibiotics again. As you can see, my nose seems back to normal. It's quite small. I did kind of injure it and it looked a little bit broken for a few weeks and swollen. It's back to normal now, but I know it's gonna go right back. Like, I already have to put the cream back on because I can see the red coming back. I'm covering it with makeup, but it gets to the point where makeup can't cover it. It just goes through. So this is something I'm gonna have to live with. They can't really do anything about it except for keep prescribing me the same steroid antibiotics every few months to try to get rid of it for a little bit and not let it progress any further. Hopefully it doesn't get to the point like that one person where she was saying it literally ate away at the whole inside. So she didn't even have what you call a septum. Like, it was just fully open between both, and it was actually something really dangerous for her. So she said, thank goodness I'm not someone that's into drugs. I've never done drugs in my life. I don't drink, I don't do that thing. So she said that's really good to keep it up because it will make it a lot worse. And now I have to live with that decision that I made when I was younger. So the moral of the story is listen to your parents. Man, oh man, should I have just listened and not been a silly rebel trying to just rebel against them, and I wouldn't have had this nose problem. So thank you for joining me today in my story time. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know in the comments below, like I was saying, if you enjoyed the transition between the clips, if it's too distracting, or if it's kind of a cool effect that keeps you interested. Let me know down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see y'all quite soon.